over the lockdowns, you're like, whoa, there
Oh,
are
I know.
people around us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, how do I human again? I don't remember. I don't
That's why
remember
you're
how to
wearing a
do all this.
t-shirt to remind you that you are a
Exactly.
human.
Yeah. I am a human. It is helpful. It's a good reminder. But yeah. Okay. I think we're good. It looks like we're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We may be live some other places that I didn't put us. So welcome to anyone and everyone watching right now. Whether you're watching live or if you're watching the replay later on, just say hey, drop in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from, what day it is, because Nathan, you are a day ahead of me right now in
No,
the
people always get
future.
fascinated by that.
I know.
I used to live in LA too, so for me, like I was working there for quite a while for Princess,
Oh
so
yeah.
it was all about sort of like I'm so used to that time zone, and talking to my family from behind, and then all of a sudden I'm home again, and then I'm talking to people over there ahead of
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So like, I mean, in the US, we have like, what is it, four? I think we have four time zones. So the most is going to be like a 3 hour difference, unless you're talking like Hawaii. But
Yeah, which I've been
like
to
I
many
think, but
times. So
which it's great. Which I
mm.
think we're like only 5. But
Yeah,
I
it's not
think
too
you and
bad.
I are about like 13 hours apart right now.
Something
So
like that. Yeah.
yeah, that's the kind of time difference jumping that would just, my mind would just be scrambled, and I'd be like, I have no idea what time it is. I don't know. It's dark outside right now, so who knows? But yeah, anyway, wherever you are, say hey, let us know where you're watching from, what you're doing right now. Drop your name in the comments. I always like to see who's in here and just say hi.
Of
But
course.
yeah, we're going to be talking about overcoming the fear of public speaking, which I think is really great, because I was very fearful of public speaking for the longest time, and still not super comfortable with it. But yeah, I'm excited for our conversation, and I guess Nathan, you and I can just go ahead and get started.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
I will, I guess, everyone watching live, drop some comments in if you have questions while we're Nathan and I are talking. You can drop those in the comments, and I will bring those in when it makes sense to the conversation. But yeah, Nathan, welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to get to chat today.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. It's definitely it's a topic that obviously drives a lot of what I do, obviously as a job. But
Oh
at
yeah.
the same time, what's fascinating still is that it's one of the most fearful things that people have. And so in some way, people think perhaps I've got this superhuman sort of, strength.
Uh-huh.
It's not the case at all, but people are very, very surprised to hear that. Actually, I was never born necessarily like, I'm never, not really ever still. I'm not like this massive extrovert that you would assume every entertainer actually is. I
Right.
am the ultimate introvert extrovert, coming from somebody who was bullied a lot as a child, was very much within myself. I didn't really discover who I was and what I was capable of until a little bit later into my sort of mid-teen years, once I had discovered it was a spark, something that sparked off of me when I went on my very first cruise and saw cruise directors and cruise staff who were just so incredibly talented. And I was also inspired by actually one of my biggest bullies in my grade 6 class. He was always revered in school for like always winning all the competitions and doing the debating, public speaking. And
Yeah.
it's funny, I sort of leaned to my best friend Sebastian, who I've known for many, many years, since we were 5 years of age, and we're still very good friends today. And I still don't let him down about this. I turned to him as I saw my bully sort of, up there again, people clapping and loving it. I'm like, whatever. And I said, I'm gonna do that one day, and I'm gonna be so much better than he is. And he kind of turned to me and went, what, you? As if, and then like turned around again. And I was like, okay. So, 12-year-old Sebastian. And
Right.
and then since then it was just my drive to prove him wrong, to prove myself that I could get up in front of crowds, and it's led to where I am today. So
Nice. Yeah, that's funny that like it came from that bully just being up there and being loud and like commanding the room. And you're like, one day I'm gonna be that. Not the bully part, but one day you're gonna be up there commanding.
No, I
And
definitely didn't aspire to that. That's funny.
but yeah, it's interesting that like you said that you weren't like born just extrovert. I'm gonna go over here and just like you can walk into a room and just like it's yours, because I was also like grew up very very quiet and just kind of very reserved. I was always the listener. People were always like, "Oh, John's just listening over here." Like in group conversations, I would be like, "Oh yeah, yeah," and I would rarely like throw anything else in. But yeah, it's definitely something that I have tried to overcome and learn. And throwing myself into hosting a podcast has definitely kind of helped me get into public speaking by immersion.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm excited to kind of get into all of that of just how we can go, especially for those who are listening who are just like, yeah, I am terrified of being the center of attention. I don't like whenever people look at me, but for your job or for being an educator or something like that, that you're going to have to be up in front of everyone. How did you get into? Was it that cruise in your teens that just kind of like got you into being an MC and all that?
Yeah, so that was definitely the first time that I discovered that it wasn't just a passion to prove everyone wrong, have this ability to talk in front of everybody, etc., and just sort of know that that was like a worthy career building sort of attribute to have. Here I am as a 12, 13-year-old thinking about my future career. And but yeah, when I was on that cruise, I was like, wow, actually, maybe where my real calling in life isn't just being able to talk in front of people, it's been able to use my voice in order to make people happy. And that really was the nexus point that shot me off into just next level of drive to get good at being able to command the language that I had, all the words that I had at my disposal in my brain. And over the course of a number of years, I focused on that. I then became a paintball referee of all jobs as my very first job when I was 16, 17. And that threw me into the recreational side of things, getting in front of people and having to have a command of people's attention, but also a command of their safety, their entertainment, and their overall well-being within that 3 to 4 hours. And that was my very first time to really put that all to the test. Yes, it's one thing to go and do a prepared speech for a competition. It's another thing to be in an environment where realistically, if you don't have the skills to command that entire space, it's just, find another job to do. And that was, I was very, very good at that. But it was obviously very entry level and this, what was to come. And then I, skip ahead to the end of my last 6 months of my university degree in marketing and philosophy, for all things. I just said, yep, I'm going to go ahead and apply. And I did. And Princess took me on as a junior assistant cruise director, and the rest is history, because I learned so much more at that point about how to be improvisationally perfect. Because it's one thing to be able to, I find, I might ruffle a couple of feathers here, but I always find, generally speaking, not always, there's never always,
yes,
generally speaking, probably the least good at the job of being a crew staff / live improvisational host are actors. Now, again, I apologize if I offend anybody in the audience, but the problem is this. They are, and I respect them immensely for this. I'm actually not really this great at, I can't remember long scripts like they could. There's a reason why I love the live stage, not the prepared TV or movie stage, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I respect them so much for being able to memorize all of that and have that command. But when you put them in front of an audience and say, right, forget all the prepared stuff. There is no cut, do it again, do it from another angle, get coached on where you're looking and things like that. It is, you've only got that chance to do it. Yep. That totally throws off most people I used to work with, and then who I went on to train as a fleet supervisor for Princess. So it was tough working with those kind of people because they actually have a real passion for entertainment. They see it within. They have this burning desire to make people happy, but they don't know how to translate that into what happens in the moment. So yeah, it's interesting seeing that even though they have that ability to talk in front of people, that even still there's that next step of being able to know what to say, where particularly when you're not given a script, which of course for many of you listening, likely, as you said, as educators, as people who are in professional corporate environments where you're meant to be giving presentations, having a piece of paper in front of you and going, "Hello, everybody. My name is so and so. Today, that's not acceptable." Yeah. So that is the real trick: being able to understand what to come next. What do you need to say in order to be compelling?
Yeah. And those are always the presenters that just they draw me in immediately, because it's just they're playing the crowd instead of like you said, just reading the paper, just standing up there, holding onto the podium, just hello everyone. They gotta just white knuckling. Okay, I've got 30 minutes and I'm gonna read through all of my script. And and yeah, it's the those kind of speeches, those kind of presenters, those educators, those are the ones that for me, I just tune out immediately. I can't follow them because it's rehearsed. It's very much just this is the same thing. They're literally just reading a script. And the ones that are playing off of everyone. I was recently at a conference last week actually, and there was a speaker there. She's also been on the podcast before, Layli Amadi. And she was like, you know what? I had a 45-minute presentation put together. But let's just workshop this. And she just started asking questions of the attendees in the audience and just having that conversation. I was like, this is what I like. This is that improv of, audible. Let's do something different. And that kind of thing, I know for a lot of people, myself included, I like structure. I like to have, if I know that I'm going to be out in front of someone, especially if it's a large number of people, I want to have that outline. I want to have that structure that I can reference back and get back in line. Do you have some tips for that more improvisational type of speaking rather than the line by line, verbatim off of the notes?
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you sort of a behind the curtain, so the Wizard of Oz kind of reveal moment. Nice. If any of you have ever been to an improv show, which I highly recommend if you have not already, go watch an improv comedy show. They are amazing.
So
I think
good.
When I was in, when I was a period of time that I was living in Portland, Oregon temporarily, they have this, I think it's around the country kind of thing. It's an institution. I can't quite remember, but their whole bit is in the audience, you're given a fly swatter and you're given a red or a blue one, and you can actually impact the whole show. I can't quite remember. I'm sure someone in the audience will be able to pick it out. Go watch these shows. Now, when you watch them, you first of all, just like I was when I was a kid, you're going to be in awe of the fact that, wow, how are they coming up with all this stuff just like that?
Yeah.
The trick behind improv, which actually applies, and I apply this to literally everything that I do, formal presentations to the entertainment stuff that I do. They've always got there actually is a structure to it all. And it's about building a treasure chest, as I like to call it, in your mind over a course of time of related sort of networked ideas and phrases and catch-alls that sort of apply to each and everything that you're doing. This comes with practice, though. So it's not just immediately I say that and you go, oh, that makes sense, and off you go and make it happen. Yeah. It comes from being able to be very aware, self-aware and self-reflective, rewatching videos of you doing. I highly recommend filming yourself, by the way, and watching things that actually really worked and resonated and felt natural to you, and discarding things that felt a bit more forced and didn't quite work out or didn't hit the audience very well. And eventually what you'll discover is there are inherent things that really work successfully that you can actually apply in different contexts. So there are many jokes, for instance, or sort of punchlines that I'll have that I apply in multiple different contexts that simply have worked in one way. I then apply it in a different context of a conversation, but it's that initial nucleus of this particular funny thing that is a human trait, or it's an ironic thing, or it's a sarcastic kind of conversational trope that I will then take from that and apply it to the next thing that I hear someone say. And these kind of things, you have to build it over the course of time. This is that practice part of it all, that it's really hard for me to necessarily sort of say, okay, I would never be able to give you a list, so to speak, of like these things, but this is where the practice comes in. Now, a lot of people will say, but I'm terrified. So let's take it a step back further, right? Because I think that's really important. It's what people are here for.
Yeah.
First off, you will never accomplish getting over that initial fear, if you don't step out into the stage and do it. Now, that is just key. I was absolutely terrified the very first time I did it. Yes, I have the luxury of having done it as a kid, and so that I've built upon that. But I can tell you this: it's okay to not be good on your first go.
Yeah.
The fact that you're there in the first place puts you well above so many people out there who still are not going to go up and do it. So already pat yourself on the back for being somebody who has already been capable of making that first step possible. Beyond that, you then now need to start thinking about, okay, I did it. I got up on stage and I made it happen. Then you need to break it down. What worked? What didn't work? What funny things can I put into that treasure chest? What insightful things, philosophical things can I put into that treasure chest? And don't be afraid also, as you described in that sort of that conference you went to, don't be afraid as a public presenter to allow people to input to you as well. Asking questions of your audience, giving people the opportunity to reflect upon what you've said and giving them time is crucial. That comes by actively asking questions and engaging and getting that response in that. But if you don't have that, that's not the mode you're being asked to do, then the biggest tip I can give you is to slow down. Some of the biggest issues that come out with public presentation in terms of people getting it wrong or really stripping up and so forth, or not allowing time for your brain to sort of process the moment you're in, the environment you're in, and then what you need to do to make it good, is by going too quickly. And that is a part of the trope where you're trying to get it over and done with as soon as possible. I did this when I was in school. The first public speaking competitions I did as a kid, it was the only thing I ever purposely bombed out. Well, okay, except for like year 11, year 12 maths, but that's another story. But like no one likes maths, but like I would purposely literally do this. Remember as a kid, for 4 years in a row until I was inspired by my bully to stop doing this. I'd get the piece of paper and I'd be like, hi, everybody. How you doing today? My name is Nathan. I'm going to talk about trucks, and trucks are really great, whatever the topic was. And that was purposely blocking my audience away. There was no connection. It was just done so quickly just to be able to get it over and done with. I have
so many words that I have to say, and I'm going to say them as quickly as I can so I can get out of this hot seat.
And honestly, people actually want to hear less words. They want to hear. I'm going to give you another hot tip here that I received this piece of advice many, many times. Remember this phrase. If you remember nothing else in this conversation except for this, the phrase word economy. What that means is that you need to economize strategically the words that you use. I used to waffle like no tomorrow. And this is both in my public speaking career and then my professional entertainment career. I had a lot of mentors come to me and say, look, you eventually got to the point we were trying to describe. And I understood what you said at the end, but unfortunately you said 3 minutes of stuff when I only really needed one. As an example, on cruise ships, we have to introduce lots of game shows, from big headline stuff to the small stuff. And let's just take a trivia, for instance, something really simple. The simple breakdown of it is how to play. So people come in and you're supposed to obviously greet yourself. So say, hi, my name is Nathan, one of your cruise staff. Great to have you here. Hope you've had a great day so far. Welcome to the trivia. Pencils are here. And go get a team of no more than 6, and we'll get started very shortly. Now, that is all the impertinent information they need to know.
Yeah.
However, what I would do is I'd be like, oh, all right, folks, nice to see you here. If you could come on down to the front, take a pencil, only take one pencil, and then, figure out in your teams of 6 people, no more than that, because it's really important. We don't want people thinking you're cheating, and, and all this stuff I would say. And I would have someone come to me, one of my mentors or my colleagues, and say, you said a lot then. People understood it, but you said a lot, and you did lose a lot of people too. So when you're doing a presentation, it's important to slow down, use effective word economy, and plan out the most important things you need to get across, either by writing them down and highlighting them, or just simply practicing them in front of a mirror and say, as long as I get 1, 2, and 3, for instance, points out succinctly, sure, everything else will come as it needs to come. But you will accomplish your goals with an audience if you get the most important facts out with the least amount of words possible. That means you're talking less, so that's a good thing for your fears. So,
and it calms your body down too. Whenever you're not up there just talking, and you're trying, like, your brain is trying to figure out where you're going next to fill these words because your mouth is talking really, really fast. And whenever you have that word economy where you can slow down and speak succinctly, pointedly to what you're talking about, then your brain has time to catch up. At least mine does. Mine is a little bit slower than a lot of people's. I've heard a lot of people say, that they don't talk fast, you just hear slowly. And I was like, yeah, I hear very slowly. It takes a while, and even whenever I'm speaking, it takes a little bit for my brain to be like, and this is where you go next. But I love that word economy, and just I'm definitely taking that away from this conversation.
Good, because it's definitely been one of those main drivers for me. I had to remind myself for years on stage, and I still do, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, but like, I have definitely got the art of the elevator pitch down well. And if anyone's not heard that phrase before, it's essentially this concept. I forget who made the concept, but who coined it, but it's the idea that if you were to walk into a elevator with the CEO of the company or your ideal client, and you had that 45 seconds from the bottom of the ground to the top of the building of the skyscraper to be able to explain fully and convince the CEO that your product or your service is the one that they need to get, all in that 45 seconds, that is your elevator pitch. And so I would work on, and I would take, for instance, the game show I had to describe. So I'd say the yes, no game show. It's a lot of fun. Actually, that's a really fun improv game I do, where the idea is you have a conversation with me for no more than 3 minutes without saying yes or no. And very, very tough, actually. And the idea is I would have to then get up and explain what people needed to do, what the rules of the game were, and all that. And I would write them all down. And I'd say, okay, I need to get these points out. And I would practice that over and over again. And eventually I trained my brain to be able to identify automatically the most pertinent parts of what would provide action and what would provide solution to the audience. Context is important, but you need to be careful because context can get very waffly very quickly.
Yes, so that's where I go. I'm just like, all the details, and my brain's like, oh yeah, throw in this detail too. Too much.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to discovering what the most important context is, always ask yourself, is this something, if I remove this part of my description, will people still be able to understand what I'm talking about? If it's just something that I wanted people fun to know, they will ask me afterwards, and then I can provide more. Because what you're really trying to do as a public presenter and as a public speaker is to provide interest and intrigue and get people's attention to want to unlock whatever you're talking about. They don't care about, as an example, if you're giving a talk about how to, as a business coach, about how to get the best, to formulate the best mindset daily schedule. When you're talking about that and trying to get that across to people, what you don't want to obviously talk about is, okay, so as an example, last week when I was with the perfect breakfast, sometimes can involve all the fiber you need. So I had a smoothie, but then sometimes you think about bananas and they may be good too. And like, it's like you start getting, I'm sure over people are leaving the podcast right now. Like that's just not, it's not compelling. You just need to get the fact that, oh, fiber is brain food, so make sure you get fiber. You can let everybody else figure it out. If they say, oh, hang on, you said that fiber was really good, but I am actually not a dietitian, so can you give me 5 examples of great fiber food afterwards? Fantastic.
There you
but
go.
When you're just trying to get the point across, you don't need to give all those examples and that extra context because people don't care most of the time. They just don't.
No, they really don't. And the ones who do care, you're actually causing them to think about the topic that you're speaking on because they're like, oh, I care about that. I want to have, a healthy breakfast. I don't know what fiber is. I see it on like cereal boxes or something, but I've got this question. I'm gonna raise my hand during Q&As or whatever. I'm gonna meet up with Nathan afterwards and ask about this, or just write down, I need to Google what fiber is and what I can do. So you're causing them to think by not giving all the different explanations and all the details that are just, going to overwhelm them and just overload the whole conversation.
Absolutely. And I just want to make sure I say this before sort of changing tracks a bit, but going back to like how to overcome this fear. I want people to know, just first and foremost, quote me on this. The whole movie trope of imagining your audience naked is terrible. Do not do it. If you've been to conferences, that is most of the time not a good option anyway. But more importantly, that just is just the most bizarre pop culture thing that's ever come across when it comes to public speaking. I definitely do not recommend that at all.
I remember in my my public speaking class in college, they recommended that, and I was just like, this is not working. I don't like this.
It's awful. It takes up your own brain power to have to imagine that. First off, you don't want to ruin, imagine your brain as a computer, which it is. You don't want to obviously give 50% of on your graphic side going, okay, I'm going to imagine this person, this, like, how stupid is that? Keep it lean, but also just dumb. I can give another piece of advice from a mentor that I always it stays rent free in my brain, hopefully until forever. And he gave me this phrase, which is, don't be yourself on stage, be the best version of yourself. To provide pertinent context to this, as an example, no one cares about the kind of person that you are, unless that's the topic of the conversation. How you are in the morning when you're brushing your teeth and you're slightly groggy and you're having your morning coffee. That's not the version that they're coming to the presentation for, to work for, to the conference for, or to the podcast for. They want the version of you that is the most compelling, the funnest, the most activated, and the most engaging. So what you want to do is you want to tap into that, discover who you are, look within yourself and say, when am I the most compelling to the people around me? When do I best exemplify the best features of who I am and why I'm being asked to do this presentation in the first place? And activate all of those features. You're still you. You're still exactly the person that they've asked to present, or whatever the context is. But you are the best version of yourself, and you will thank yourself because people will just be more drawn to you by getting the best out of you. No one wants the worst, so be the best. Simple.
Yeah. simple. Just be the best.
Honestly, keeping this so simple because it's so, I know I don't, and I try not to come across as nonchalant. I understand that I've been there. Like it's not just something that, like, yes, you see those kids in school who are just great at drama or something. If I was in front of the school, like, that was terrifying. But I forced myself to be in situations that I knew would be beneficial to my future and my future career development and personal development, because I knew that being compelling in front of people and being comfortable by being in front of people was just going to take me places. And so if it is something that you want to do, if it is something that you wish to accomplish in your life and have that natural ability, it will take you years, but every step of the way will be fun. That's another thing I want to say. Have fun when you're on stage. Have fun, enjoy it, be proud that you've been asked, because generally speaking, audiences are actually really compassionate to having you on stage. There are a number of people in your audience who are already thinking, wow, I could never get up there. So you're that, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, you're already beating those people in the audience who don't have that sort of drive that you've had to get up there. 2, people are generally really compassionate until you've given them other reasons not to be. So as you've said, you've had those people at conferences who you're just like, oh, kill me.
Yes.
Like, like I'm not here for this. When you activate the best version of yourself, people will be really drawn to that. That authenticity, you can't pay for it. And so you want to make sure that when you're activating that on stage, that you're just loving that moment. Be proud of it. Enjoy it. Use the ego that you're allowed to use on stage without being pompous, but use that ego in order to drive that adrenaline rush that comes along with being in front of 50, 100, 200, 300 people. People are going to want to listen. The moment that they clap you on stage and you're announced and your bio and everything else, and the MC like myself gives you a great rap, here you come on stage and people have paid to be there. They want to listen. So play into that. And you'll be surprised how far it can go.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I love what you were talking about with, like, this is not going to be an overnight thing. It's not going to be you get up and speak in front of an audience once and then immediately you're just like, all right, well, this is great. I feel amazing. Like you're probably going to bomb that first time. And I love how you said, like, analyze how you did every time that you go up there, at least those first few times, where it's like, these were the things that went really well. And really, like, focus on those, but also focus on the things that went really poorly. And like, okay, yeah, well, I stumbled over all of this. I got distracted because the bright light is just shining me in the face over here. So maybe next time don't turn directly to the spotlight. And you're not going to be the most amazing public speaker right out of the gate. And knowing that as you go up there, I think really gives you the just that freedom to go be yourself, because you're like, I am not going to knock this out of the park. I'm not going to be amazing this first run, but I'm going to go up and do the best that I can and be the best version of myself that I can right now. And then analyze that afterwards, because I am all about analyzing things to become a better version later on. And I think that's such a good tip and such a good word to for anyone who's either going to be speaking, on a stage or on a podcast where people are tuning in to listen to you and to listen to what you're saying. And yeah, I think that's just a really great piece of advice there.
Yeah, it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be to have that. So because that nerves eventually turns into adrenaline. I remember that sort of click over feeling about a year and a half into my career on ships, where I felt like I certainly haven't done it all, and there are a couple of really big accomplishments I still want to be able to tick off my boxes as time come on. But I will tell you that every time I did something new, I would be nervous the first time I did it, but I would take that, I would sit in it for a second and go, okay, now time to just use that to drive me forward as an adrenaline rusher. Now, like, people ask me all the time at weddings and corporate events, oh, you nervous? I go, nah, I'm actually really excited, because I'm able to, have off the back of years of being able to use those nerves to be an adrenaline rush. You train your brain into going, this is exciting, as opposed to, okay, I don't think anybody who's ever, I certainly haven't, and I don't think I will be, I don't think anybody who's been skydiving, for instance, wasn't nervous the first time they looked down at the earth and went, I'm going to jump out of this because I'm 10,000 feet above the ground or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see anybody ever going, I wasn't nervous. And if they said they aren't, they're lying, because it's not normal. it's not human to do something like that. It's not a normal thing you do in your day to day. First time you got behind the wheel as a 16-year-old and drove a vehicle on a public road, don't tell me you weren't nervous. But now, do you think about it? No, like you don't, generally speaking, if you've practiced enough and drive regularly enough, you don't think about it anymore. And so I don't necessarily think about the nerves that come anymore, because they don't. And I actually use that as an adrenaline and exciting thing, because I've been able to command that. And yes, I appreciate that you can see the value in it not being something that can happen overnight, because I'm not going to lie to people. It doesn't happen overnight. Comes with multiple, I can't even count the amount of public speaking competitions I did as a kid. I cannot count the amount of stages I've spoken in front of. And of course, all the multiple different little mini events that I've hosted in my time. It's virtually countless at this point. But yet, every time you do it contributes to it getting better and better and better. It's a muscle that needs to be exercised. It is something that can be faded out, and the excitement and the adrenaline can come. It does come. And if you continue to do it, if you continue to put yourself there, look, it's bad business, but I'm going to say it anyway. I promise you, I guarantee it will pass, and you will love doing what you do on stage.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's just like anything that you do that scares you, or that there's that little bit of fear, or even just starting a new job or something. Like I remember when, because I'm a wedding photographer, when I first started photographing weddings, I was so nervous, and I was like, this is such a big day for them.
Camera
and
shaking.
What if I'm like, okay, what if I miss this moment? And I have all this lined out, and I was so nervous to go do something that I really genuinely loved. And now I get it's that switch, and it was probably about a year and a half, 2 years in, when that switched for me from that nervousness of, okay, I have a wedding this Saturday and I need to prepare for this and like get mentally there. And now I'm like, oh, I got a wedding this Saturday. This is going to be fun. I'm not worried about it anymore. I'm not nervous. There's still that pressure, because it is a very important day, I need to photograph all of the moments, but I'm excited to go there, and I'm excited, just like you're excited to get up there and be the MC and like just command the room and all that. And yeah, I think that that's really good mindset and a way of going into this, whether for wherever the listener is right now, of knowing it's not going to be right away, but eventually those nerves will turn into excitement and that adrenaline. And this is going to be something that you really, really enjoy and look forward to every time that you get an opportunity.
Yeah, and I genuinely welcome anybody who's listening to send me clips of them having done things, or send me sort of a little sort of self-tape that they've done, or perhaps help with like a pep talk before it as well. Give me the brief and what you're meant to be doing and so forth. Or perhaps you're sort of midway through the journey and you feel like that clicking moment's coming. You're just not quite sure how to go over that hump yet. Whatever it may be, I'm always open to. I want people to feel excited about the stage, because like I said at the very beginning, I've been there at that terror level. I've been there when I've exposed myself, metaphorically speaking, to audiences, and have really, really rawly put myself in front of people, and realize that I actually survived at the end of it all. I didn't come, I wasn't permanently maimed by it. No one, threw tomatoes at me. No one, shouted at me and said, "Get off the stage," like they do in like movies and stuff. They appreciate that you are on a journey and you're doing something that they probably, in the 100 people in the audience, 90% of them probably never want to do at all. And only maybe 2% are in the audience who actually know that they're probably somewhere on the level with you on a journey themselves. So be proud that you are on that journey. Be proud that you're wanting to take the first step, the 10th step, 100th step, whatever you are in the process. And just look forward to when you get excited by it, just like you and I are now in what we do, because we do it best. We know we're good at what we do. And yes, there is still always going to be the pressure. You're only as good as your last gig. Not going to lie. It's true. People say it all the time. It's true. But you know that you'll have all the tools necessary to accomplish it. And that's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Nathan, I love it. Okay. This was such a good conversation. I definitely walked away with a few really great things, especially the word economy thing. I really need to take that to heart. I babble so much and just like go on these rants and tangents and everything. So yes, word economy, that is my takeaway for sure. But yeah, Nathan, thank you so much for coming on the show and really
Of
talking
course.
to us today. Before we wrap up,
Yeah.
and we tell everyone where they can find you and follow along and send you those videos. Well, there's a part of the show that I like to do where we talk about what we're loving this week.
Mhm.
Just something fun, could be a TV show, movie, a book, really anything. What is it that you're loving this week?
Ooh, what am I loving this week? Well, I'm getting a chance to get dive. I'm trying to devote a little bit more time to video games because I am an avid gamer. I just don't get to play as
Nice.
much. So I'm diving through some Game Pass games at the moment, which is really fun. Um, oh gee. Yeah, I've got 4 weddings coming up this weekend, so it's my like most intensive weekend ever. Particularly
Wow.
because like it's a lot. So
Yeah.
I like as soon as I get off this call, like I'm actually now in the final stages of planning my movements and what I'm wearing for the weekend and so forth. So that's all very exciting. And I'm sort of on this new track at the moment because it sounds like I'm talking about work, but actually, of course, like as we've discussed, I'm really excited about what I do and all
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Next week, I've actually been invited to speak to some university event students, so event management students. And what I
Okay.
love is being able to give back to the new generation of event planners, managers, and
Yes.
professionals like myself, who hopefully I'll be able to inspire them to understand how to elevate events. So it's a mix of fun and sort of work pleasure, I guess, at the same time. Just
Yeah.
having the ability to get in front of an audience and have some inspire some people, but also get some downtime. I'm currently playing a game called uh, Immortals: Phoenix Rising, which it's not bad. It's a good little
Okay.
open world RPG. So I'm
I
having a
was
good
gonna
time with it.
say, I was gonna say I've heard of that one, and I was gonna ask if it was open world, because
Yeah.
I've been I don't make time to play much anymore, but I got like the original Skyrim years and years ago, and it was just that open world, and I was like, this is very different than like the Tony Hawk type skateboarding games and stuff that I played growing up, or Super Mario or something.
Yeah.
And it's a very different type of video game where you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like you're just in a different world, literally.
It is really good
And
to just
yeah,
be able to switch off with those kind of games too. In a way, your brain's able to think on a different level. And I do enjoy
yeah,
being able to. I don't think about work much when I am playing, which can
yeah,
be good and bad. But in terms of if I play too much, but no,
right.
it's great to be able to switch off because you really need that too. Particularly when I'm in front of so many audiences, I will come home sometimes and be like, I have talked a lot. I'm sure by next Monday, I will not want to.
Mm,
I don't want phone calls. I don't want nothing like that because
nope.
it's been a lot of me being brought out to the world, and I just need to be able to discover that, sort of bring it back, snap it back a little
Yeah,
bit. That's
yeah.
also why I'm loving having a cat. My cat's just sort of, you can't see him, but he's down there. He's in
Nice.
his little bed down there. I've got underneath the other desk. His name's Sunny. He's a 6-year-old cat, and he's the most vocal thing in the world. I'm feeling like he needs to be my second co-host out in the world
Yes.
because he is just. I have little conversations with him, and so playing with him, playing games, and of course, just getting excited to elevate my career in more academic and inspiring ways is just sort of where my world's at right now.
Nice. That's exciting. I love that. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna try and do one that's like fun non-work, and then because the one that initially came to my mind was also kind of work, because I went to that photography conference, and I was working on staff, so I was working a lot there,
Mm,
but we did a few photo walks where we all just took photos of each other, and it was very film centered, where we were shooting on film cameras, and it's just that slow pace of here, stand right here, and then like getting in the right exact framing, and then I was using a hip fire camera, so I'm like looking down at the lens,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
just like that, the extra time that it took to take just one frame was really great, to just like slow down instead of the digital world where it's just like, all right, cool, snap snap snap, and over
Like
here, let's
weddings
go
where you're
do over
like
here.
you're running
Yes,
around
yeah,
constantly going,
where we're
oh my god,
just
something's happened
all
here. They're
over the
taking
place.
photos. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that's part of what I'm loving, is just how that week was, just very slow, and also got to see a lot of good friends. And then let's see, something not work related.
Mm.
I recently watched the documentary. I don't know if it's a documentary. I think it's definitely not. Uh, it was like a reenactment or something.
Mm.
A mini series, I guess you would say, on HBO Max. It's called Chernobyl, and
Oh,
it
I've
was
heard
going.
fantastic things about it. I've not got it myself because it's too expensive to have all the streaming channels these days, but I've heard
It is.
phenomenal things about it.
Yeah, we recently broke down and got HBO Max, so I'm like slowly going through all of the things that are on there, and it was very, very well done. The storyline and everything. I think they did a really great job of it, and it was, the cinematography was also very great.
Mm.
So yeah,
Mm.
it was a good show, and that's yeah, that was something that I recently watched here and there over, I think it's like 8 episodes or something. It's not
I love it.
crazy,
That's
but
fantastic.
yeah,
It's good to get some good Netflix time or streaming time out there when you can. It's a
yeah.
nice for me. It's often because I'm by myself in this apartment, so it's nice just to the cat comes over. Sonny just sort of plops himself next to me, and we're just watching something. And it's nice to.
Hmm.
I just finished a series called Florida Man on Netflix. It's all right. It was funny. It was
Okay.
good. It was all right. It was an
Yeah.
interesting take on the concept of Florida Man.
Florida Man.
I think it
Yeah.
was look, not the most show I've ever watched ever or this year, but certainly
Yeah.
I wouldn't say don't watch it. And I just finished watching Beef, which is a much more compelling show according to the
I've
internet.
yeah, I've heard that was very good.
I enjoyed it. I think the one thing I would recommend to people is that I personally felt like the last 2 episodes were the most drawing for me. They really hit the
Hmm.
hardest. Whereas I probably think if they cut out 2 episodes, they probably it would have been a much more punchier season. I think. But that I mean,
Hmm.
look, I'm not a film critic. I'm a MC, so I will stay in my lane.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, cool. Yeah, I will. That's on my list of things to watch. So, and I love, this isn't Stephen Yoon. He's one of the
Mm,
leads in there. So I really like him. I liked him from the Walking Dead days.
mm.
But yeah, okay. Well, sweet. Well, yeah, and I'll throw links to those in the show notes as well for anyone who's just like, what was that? I need to go check this out. It'll be in the show notes.
Enjoy.
And also in the show notes, where can people find you? Where can they
Oh,
follow you online? All of those things.
yeah, it'll be great to connect with you all. So I'm across Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn primarily. I'm building a Pinterest page at the moment, so don't look me up. But
Cool.
it's just going to be featuring all my galleries from my past weddings and corporate events and so forth.
Cool.
Nothing too fancy there, but yeah, we would love to see you on YouTube. I'm at Nathan Cassar MC, all one string. On LinkedIn, I'm Nathan Cassar -MC, I believe. On Facebook, I'm Nathan Cassar.MC. I should have had this better planned out last 2 years ago. And on Instagram, I'm Nathan Cassar_MC. So yeah, it'd be great to connect with you. Of course,
Yeah.
nathancassar.com.au, my main website, and my email is addressed there as well. So
Awesome. Well, sweet. Yeah, I will have all of those linked in the show notes as well. So, listeners, y'all can reach out to Nathan and connect online. But yeah, Nathan, thank you so much for being on the show. This was a really great conversation.
Max, absolutely, I feel exactly the same. And thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Facebook, YouTube, we will see y'all next time. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
And